Okay, so the first slide I got here is just kind of talking generally about some of my summer experiences. I think right away that very first day when I walked in, I could feel the intensity in the air. All the coaches came off very strongly, came off very thorough, came off very type A, which for me going into the internship, I'm not naturally a very type A person, but I think this internship very quickly kind of turned me into that. They expect a lot from you. I think my biggest summary of it would be that they expect a lot from you, but they also take really good care of you, and for as much as you're willing to invest in them and the program, they're willing to invest in you. So a few of the rules that we had kind of going into it was working super hard. All the coaches take a large amount of pride in making sure that this is the most thorough and toughest internship program in the country, and they take a lot of pride in that. And so working very hard, very long hours, we were on our feet all day long. So it was a very physically intense experience this summer. That was kind of their second rule. There was a lot of information that was thrown at us very quickly and very rapidly, and sometimes not in the most perfectly well-read way. It was usually given to us screaming and sometimes in a bit of a rough way, but you definitely learned how to form a tough skin very, very quickly when you're working there. And so one of the big things that they asked of us was just to listen to everything, listen to the players, listen to the coaches, listen to them as mentors, and just pay attention to what was going on around them, because there was a lot of movement, a lot of things we need to pay attention to, not just out on the floor, but in the meetings. We constantly had a notepad with us, taking notes on setup, on procedure, on coaching cues, on special needs that the players required, whether that was injuries or different training methods that they required based off of positioning or based off of experience. So that was another one of the rules. And then the third one was learn quickly. One of the things that Coach Ackenberger had said to me pretty quickly into learn very quickly. If we were going to make sure that we just made the mistakes one time, and to correct those problems and to move forward. So that was kind of his third role, was to learn fairly quickly from our mistakes and from the things that they were teaching us. Another one of the things that they were instructing us on was how to coach effectively on the floor. Not to waste our energy in pointless things, to make sure that when we were coaching and using volume, getting pretty loud, to make sure that it was the proper effectively on the floor. Everything that we're doing has a meaning and a purpose behind it. Another one of the things that we learned this summer, or I learned this summer, was forming a foundation in programming. So actually coaching out there on the floor is one thing, but if you're a really good coach out on the floor, but you're implementing a improper program or protocol for the players, then you're missing a huge part of making sure that these athletes are what they need to be on the field. So we had several different Excel workshops, lots of readings and articles, and read several books, diving into some of the nuts and bolts of programming, some of the basics of it. Again, forming a foundation in programming. as the summer went on, it got more and more advanced, but just some of the more basic concepts of building programs that were sports specific to the athletes. And then the last thing, which was a huge thing, especially working with Coach Savage, was how to build a team culture and cohesion. We had a fireside chat, kind of a round table conversation with him about halfway through the internship. Knowing his background and knowing some of the schools that he had come from, some of the schools are Ohio State, Bowling Green, Toledo, Mississippi State, and then here at Florida. Some of those schools and some of those programs kind of have a culture built into them by default, whether that's because of history, because of location in the country. They just have a team culture already built into the program. And so I wanted to ask him that more than likely me or any of the other interns were going to go, some of our first jobs were not going to be at programs like Ohio State or Mississippi State or Florida. They were going to be at smaller programs that don't necessarily have an established team culture. And so I wanted to ask him, how do I build that team culture? And he gave me a great answer, just about installing small mental disciplines and not necessarily physical discipline. A lot of people talk about like being mentally tough, but he said in order for them to be, he said that mental toughness, or as people use it, quote unquote mental toughness, really just wears out the athlete and contributes to them not buying into your program or them not being able to trust you. And so we talked very negatively about that, but talked very positively about installing small disciplines in your team so that they can be mentally disciplined. Maybe not necessarily mentally tough, but mentally disciplined. And then when you have that, you're able to build a team culture and pull a team together and make them one large cohesive group much more effectively.